everyone. My name is Rita Kakati-Shah. I'm your host for the Uma Show. Welcome to your one-stop journey for feeling empowered. We're a platform for change. We build confidence. We are your voice. We want you to be bold, be you, be Uma. Today, we're exploring women entrepreneurs, and I'm so excited to be joined by a goddess of go-getting, Sairee Chahal, who is joining us from India, and she is the founder and CEO of Sheroes, the world's largest online ecosystem for women. Welcome, Sairee. It's so great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to be here, and I've been hoping to get on the show for a while now, so thank you.
Likewise. So let's start by talking about your background. Tell us about where you were born. How was your upbringing?
Right. So I think I say that my childhood was exactly like how I think maybe another 150 million women in India grew up. Small town India, middle class family. So I grew up in a place called Muzaffarnagar, which is a small, notorious town in state of UP. And and I grew up hanging out with my dad a lot. And I was a curious child. I read a lot. And I was very interested in what the grown-ups are talking about in business. And, every time my dad had colleagues over, I would just hang around there and listen to their talk. So great, simpler times. And I have a younger sister, small family. Really, really, you can say a pretty uncluttered childhood per se. But a lot of books and a lot of, I think, grown-up chatter. So those are two things that I remember very vividly from my childhood.
Oh, I love that. And the memories that just stuck with you. Wonderful. So moving on to your education, you have an MPhil from JNU and a PGD-BM from IMT Ghaziabad. Tell us about your academic choices and how that led to your journey of entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So first of all, I think nothing in my academic choices is connected. And they were very spontaneous decisions. But I was very sure, for one, that when I was getting into college or even when I was in school, nobody did humanities in India. Liberal arts were not for the achievers, basically. If you got liberal arts, basically you were a no-go. But I actually made my school principal start a humanities section. So we were the first class of humanities in the school I went to. And then my graduation is in Russian language, in Russian language literature. And my MPhil is in international relations. And I think in my head, I was basically going to be an academic or a professor or a researcher, something of that sort. But I got working very early. And I think by the time I finished my college, I'd worked for 3-4 years already. I had a network. And the only reason I went to do an MBA was because I just wanted the polish of business. I wanted to see how these people talk, all these fancy terms they use, their presentations. I thought it was very suave and, maybe I should learn that skill. So the only reason I really, went and did a PGDBM was that. And that was also the time I built my first startup. And, as luck would have it, I ended up building a company very, very early on in my career. So I think all those skills are not directly related. Nothing that I've ever built is related to what I studied. But I think what each of these things teaches you is a lot of rigor. It teaches you a lot of, the ability to learn new things is a skill in itself. And I think that's what I took away from all those very diverse set of things I did very early on.
Yeah, no, I love that rigor and that hard work that sort of stemmed your path forward. What actually inspired the Russian part of your education?
I grew up in steel plants. My dad's a steel industry veteran, and we used to always have Russian engineers and their families on the campus. Right. And so a lot of these kids would be there, and those were the days of Russian exhibitions and Russian books in India. So it was just a whim, honestly. There was no logic to it. I liked all that, and I thought Russia would be cool, but obviously when I was a kid, it was USSR, and now it's Russia. It's so different times, but very, very influenced by that whole Soviet culture.
Yeah. No, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And you're also a fellow of the Ananta Aspen's Kamal Nayan Bajaj Fellowship, a member of the Aspen Global Leadership Network, and on the board of directors of the Paytm Payments Bank. Talk to us about your involvement in those initiatives and organizations.
Right. So I think look, I'm at a point in life where I think at least one phase has happened. One has sort of learned a few things. But as you grow older in your career, your opportunities to learn keep going down because you're really sort of not the person who's learning anymore in the room, or nobody's sort of you're basically in a room where everybody else is a younger person. So it's important to open one's horizons. So I took up a board position. I've always felt there should be more women in boards. I've done a bunch of work around that. So when a board role came to me, I said, look, if I don't take it, then everything that I've spoken about is going to be it's going to be a sham. So a board role to me, and I'm the first woman on that board. And obviously. And I'm learning as well. So as much as I'm contributing, I'm learning pretty much.
Right.
And same with the Aspen Fellowship. Again, a new way to look at the world, new way to learn. There's again rigor in fellowship. There is academic debate. There is researching, reading, writing. So you go back to your roots a little bit. You also find people and perspectives that really are not easy to discover in your line of work. We all get very crowded with what we are doing, and we just think that's the world. But the truth is, it's you're really a tiny speck there. To me, these things are important because they help me, stay engaged with the world around me, and let me grow as I go along.
Now that really resonates, and I love what you shared about you're not just sort of contributing to these boards or organizations, but you are also learning as well. So a lot of people, when they do join boards, and I totally agree, we definitely know more women out there on boards and giving their opinions, but it is a two-way learning process. And I think that's the important part of it as well. So you're also now the founder and CEO of Sheroes, the world's largest online ecosystem for women with a national and global footprint of 16 million women. Wow. Tell us about Sheroes and the many platforms that you support.
So thank you. Actually, that 16 is now 22. So,
wow, 22 million. Wow, amazing.
Digital adoption in India is through the roof. The number of women coming online is really, really massive. But Sheroes is basically a safe space for women to begin with. And we all do when we are safe, when we are nurtured in a trusted environment. And internet, is still not as safe as we as women would like it to be. Yeah. And at least in India, 70% of internet users are men, which means everything has been designed by them for themselves. So Sheroes is really an oasis. One, it's a women-only space. Two, you can come and find your peers. You can share your views. You can express yourself without judgment. You can hang out, but you can also find work. You can access a free counseling service. You can buy and sell with your peers. You can set up your own community. So it's really a lot of things. It's a super app for women, if I may. But with that Sheroes membership, a woman ends up sort of opening a lot of doors for herself. This is her me space, a space for her to grow and things that she cares for. She's not a mom here. She's not a wife here. She's not, somebody who has been given an identity by the world. She's herself here, and everybody in the room is the same, so there is no judgment. It is a lot of open sharing, but it's also everybody's on their own path. They're not competing for attention. They're not competing for resources. Everybody's crafting their own story. So that's Sheroes. And of course, we not as a company do a bunch of things. There is the Sheroes platform. We run a remote work business. We run a social commerce business line. And now we are setting up a digital bank for women.
Amazing.
Called Sheroes Money. So everything we do benefits women directly.
Yeah, no, I love that. And, personally being on the platform as well and actually being one of the champions for Sheroes, I love that. And to your point, it's not just a safe space. It's a community. There is no judgment. It's a platform where you can say anything you want. You can have a good day, a bad day, just any day, but you can just be you. And that's something that we resonated on because the work we do at UMA is in that way so much similar, where we are just trying to bring out that confidence in people to be themselves. So Sheroes is the perfect platform for that. So it's been such a pleasure to work together on that. But it was just, I just love the work that you're doing there. Can you share the most challenging moment of your entrepreneurial journey?
Well, I think we just got over 2020. I think everybody's challenging year. And so was for us. We'd really, I think, speed a few things up and slow a few things down. We had to let go. So 2020 was full of hard decisions. Customers shut shop. Obviously, we saw a lot of 2020 bloodshed. But apart from that, I think when you're building a company that doesn't have a playbook, like I get asked all the time, hey, is there something like in the US, who has Bay Area funded something like this? But, there isn't exactly something like this because maybe this is a very, developing world phenomena. So I think and again, there different challenges sort of show up at different times. Sometimes, you get judged for being a single founder. Sometimes you get judged. A woman with a child. I have a daughter. She's 13. So, so I think these are mini micro challenges, or they're rather judgments. So, but you kind of, they're literally like speed breakers in the road. You just keep driving your car and, it's fine. But I think the fundamental challenge is pretty much the same that every founder faces. There is always going to be a lot more aspiration than what you can achieve, and obviously the resources are going to be much lesser than what you would like, and so that never goes away, I think, as a founder. But to me, I think building a category first product was always a challenge, because when I started building Sheroes, women were not even a category on the internet, and the number of women online itself was very, very small. Thankfully, that has changed. There are 300 million women online in India now, but initially there was a lot of resistance around that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, with the growth of social media and more people being more tech savvy, and naturally in 2020, one of the things that people were digital, they were more remote, would help in that way to bring more people out of their shell, so to speak. So I do love that. Could you share any challenges that you face either personally or professionally, just by being a woman in business, and what you did to overcome it?
Right. So when I started my first company, I and my daughter was born the same year, so I literally had two things to look after, and I didn't have any help. So I would actually just put my daughter in a stroller and take that little sleeping seat everywhere. So literally, I drag that little child everywhere because there's no other way. And obviously, it's not really sort of the most optimal way, and sometimes you get frowned upon, or sometimes people will say like, this is a no child zone office. So I think those things are, and I'm sure I'm not alone, a lot of women have juggled, a lot of women have sort of and of course, like, I think then you have to also make peace with things that will fall off, things that will get deprioritize in your life. You will not see your friends. Your house might be a mess most of the time, or you'll be always behind. Basically, you're the person who's always late. So I think it's a trade-off. But I guess when you are trying to do a lot of things at the same time, this is bound to happen. So I guess it's fair.
No, absolutely. And really well said, because what you just said is the journey that so many women do face and struggle with. So by providing that platform, you said, well, hey, this is how it is, and it's okay to do things differently as long as you manage. So kudos for all of that work, and you're past doing that. You are truly very accomplished. You are the recipient of the Devi Award, Femina Achievers Award, Editor's Choice for L'Oreal, Femina Women's Award in Business Today, Most Powerful Woman in Indian Business, and a Cartier Award alumni. And in 2018, Sheroes was awarded in the Social and Economic Empowerment category at the IMAI Digital Awards. Absolutely brilliant. What's next on the horizon for you?
Well, I think next is just taking learnings from all our journey, but particularly 2020. I think life as we know it, especially for women in India, is changing. And we want to be part of that narrative. We want to be part of that story. So we're really building not only a strong community, so we hope this 22 million women becomes 100 million women, but we also are creating vehicles of change for employment, for entrepreneurship, and for access to capital for women across the country.
Yeah.
It's a tall order, it's a larger than life mission, but if you aim for something high, you will should surely sort of, if even if you get midway, it's pretty sort of satisfying, but also it has very high impact, and I think I always feel very strongly about India being one of the most poorly ranked country in the gender rankings, and obviously we know about status of women in our society. So here's an opportunity to create something substantial using the technology we have at hand.
Yeah. Absolutely, very well said. Such meaningful work that you're doing there. What do you do to relax?
I do yoga. I love my yoga. I practically spend half my Sunday doing that. I go for long walks. I read. I chill a little bit. I love my little drink in the evening. So yeah, I'm grateful for life, and I enjoy the small things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Before we let you go, what advice would you give to any young girls or aspiring women out there who want to follow in your footsteps?
Right. So I would say, look, think long term. Nothing happens, on an immediate basis, and there are things you will do that may not pay you off, right away, but they will eventually. And I think persistence and consistency. There is a lot of power of compounding that shows up when these two things happen. You show up every day and you chip away at the problem every day. To me, they're very important, especially in a very attention crazed world where we have shorter cycles for everything, shorter careers, attention spans. But if you look at anything substantial, right from Amazon to Warren Buffett to Microsoft to nothing great got built in a day.
Yeah.
So the long term view, invest in yourself, and if you can be part of building a company early on in your life, especially if you want to be a founder, it's good to learn it on somebody else's time and money, because you wouldn't have the liberty to make all the mistakes. I mean, for me, a lot of my confidence came because I built a company literally when I was 20, 21. I didn't know anything, but I was open and I just showed up every day. I worked damn hard, and that really set the tone for everything later. And so to me, consistency, showing up, persistence is really like the formula.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Sairee, for sharing your tremendous words of wisdom and your journey with us today. Sairee Chahal, founder and CEO of Sheroes, and thank you to our viewers on joining us for this empowerment journey today. We want you all to embrace that inner goddess of go-getting. We want you to be bold, be you, be Uma.